Our book report is on simple and usable web, mobile, and interaction design by Giles Colborn. This book is an excellent journey into designing new technology and who it's being designed for. It has several stories about the ideas and innovations that have been behind inventing better designed, more usable electronic products for the mainstream market to purchase. Part 1, Why Are We Here? The book starts off with the story of simplicity. That's about the first printer Giles purchased and how he had a terrible time configuring it for use. As the story goes, the first printer he bought didn't come readily equipped with the parts needed, instructions didn't make sense, and he had to fashion a crude tool, the paperclip, to initially set the printer, which I can relate with wholeheartedly because I also have had to deal with situations where electronic equipment is not user-friendly. As the story turns out, years later, technology has evolved to the point Giles could hook up his new printer he bought in just a few minutes. As soon as he plugged it in, tore off the tape, and opened the computer up, it was ready to connect to Wi-Fi. And that's all the effort he had to put into it. Which goes to show that recently there has been a revolution in technology that has made it easier to use things like printers, phone applications, and that simplicity is the key driving force behind the end user having a better experience with their electronics. Part 2 was setting a vision. The second part of the book opens up with, whether you're designing an entire website or a drop-down menu, you need a vision of what a simple experience should be. A vision gives you a way of judging whether you're keeping things simple. Giles elaborates with several ways to come up with a usable design that will work better for the average end user rather than products for extreme computer buffs. Giles wants to put products out there that are so user-friendly with such advanced algorithms that the end user doesn't have to think about using the product at all. Giles says that, quote, you can't control the environment where people use software. You have to design to fit it. Which is, while he has been designing software, he has been constantly interviewing end users on what their opinions are about it. There are 3 types of users. There's experts, willing adopters, and mainstreamers. The vast majority of people are mainstreamers. They don't use technology for its own sake, they use it to get a job done. And that's who you want to design products for, the mainstreamers. You want to give them reliable products that get the job done without any effort, worries, or hiccups. Simplicity is about control, and that's what you want your design to be, simple. So have a vision of simplicity and share it with the world. Once you have found and begun sharing your vision, you're ready to design.
Simple and usable web, mobile, and interaction design. Part 3, 4 strategies for simplicity. The question in this part was, how would you simplify something very complicated? There are 4 strategies to this method. The first, remove. Second, organize. Third, hide. And 4, displace. The first strategy, remove, is to get rid of all unnecessary parts of the product you are developing. Things that may be unnecessary and things that may make things complicated for your user. The second step, organize, is to arrange things in a good order. The example they used for this strategy was a DVD remote. You want to arrange the buttons into groups, making things simple and easier to use for your user. Strategy number 4, hide. In the example, you want to hide all but most important buttons behind a hatch so you don't distract users. A lot of times, many unnecessary parts of the product can distract your users and make things more complicated for them. And the 4th part, displace. You want to be simple with your features and show just the basic features needed to get the job done. You want to displace the complexity that the product may have. That way, it'll make things easier for your consumer. Each of these strategies has its strengths and weaknesses. A big part of success comes in choosing the right strategy for the problem at hand. Part 4 of the book talks about removal. The wrong approach to removing features is getting rid of anything that's difficult to build. There's a common pattern that happens when developing and removing parts of a product. A deadline approaches and budget tightens and features are cut. Many products today and in the past have had too many features and can cause complications for users. Many successful products today, like the iPhone, have simplified this and removed excessive buttons, having a more basic and simple interface for users. However, you can't avoid the process of removing features and content. Every team has limited sources and every project comes to a point where content needs to be cut in order to make things more pleasable and easy for your consumer. Making things simple for your user is what it's all about. So users also love features that eliminate frustrations. However, adding features can lead to more user frustration. A good question to ask yourself is your design best at solving their big problem? If it is, they will stick with you even when they're inconvenienced by changes you make to the product. They will still be loyal to the company. Part of the step of removal is prioritizing features. The first step, identify users' goals and set them in order of priority. Second, focus on solutions that meet users' high priority goals. Third, identify things that are common sources of anxiety or stress. And fourth, identify the good enough controls that satisfy mainstream users' needs. Part 5 of the book talks about organization. Organizing is a huge part of developing a product and making things easier for your user. A great strategy for simplifying is to go with inexpensive solutions. This way, you're not spending too much money on fixing your product. Instead, you're enhancing it and making things better for your user. Another good strategy for organizing with your product is called chunking. You can use chunking or ways to group parts of your product into common goals and strategies. Chunking is used throughout the interface design. Another key point for organization is organizing for behavior. The first point of organization is to understand users' behavior, what they want to do, and what order they want to do it. People expect to do things in a sequence. Making things easier for your user is what it's all about. So organizing in ways such as alphabets or formats, time and space, grids, size and location can all benefit in the organization process.
Part 6. Hide. Another strategy for simplicity is hiding. We define it as anything that puts a barrier between the user and a feature. The writer described an approach to hiding some features on a DVD remote. First, by hiding it behind a hatch or sliding panel. 2, by hiding the buttons through a touchscreen remote control. These methods prevent users to be distracted by unwanted details and also simplify the DVD remote. But what should you hide? First, features that are rarely used. 2. Settings. Why settings? The user won't use the settings until they need to do some changes, which makes this feature a good choice to hide. Another approach for hiding is the use of customizing. However, giving the user the choice to customize gives them the trouble of being time-consuming and cumbersome. It's better if the tools used is simple and users are adding items and rearranging. Users are also more into customizing their device personally, like changing their phone's wallpaper or background on their desktop. Another approach is the use of cues, clues, or labels for their hidden features. In using this approach, placing the label is more important than how big it is. Make sure to hide it elegantly and completely and to reveal it just in time. Part 7. Displace. The fourth strategy is to displace. As an example, the remote control is stripped to its basic actions and the rest of the features are available to the TV screen. You can also displace the features between two devices like my phone's Vizio app and the remote. The remote have the basic actions, but my Vizio app has more complexities and details. There are trade-offs with this strategy and designers have to make sure to put the right functions and right platform to make this work. For example, computers are able to store detailed information accurately, and users will have a hard time remembering all those details. So we use the computer to store those information. We need to understand which tasks we need to hand over to the computer and which tasks to leave for the user. You can also reduce the complexity by designing features that enable users to use it for several purposes, and it will be up to the users how they use it. So before we go, part 8, make sure to remember instead of how we design a simple user experience, ask yourself rather of where should I move the complexity? Because that is one of the main secrets into creating a simple user experience as the procedure becomes simple since the complexity is shifted to the right place. Make sure to also include details. And remember, simplicity gives users the imagination that creates more meaningful experience.